All right, you ready? I'd like to call the meeting of the Plaquemines Parish Council as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor Internal District to order for January 30th at 6:11 p.m. Machines are open for a roll call. Eight out of 9 commissioners are present. Dr. Gui is absent. First item, please. I got it. She is.
It's not showing up.
All right, hold on. First item, executive session to receive attorney-client privilege communication in regard to contract matter pursuant to LRS 42:17A10, Attorney Danny P. Garrett. I offer ask for a second. Second by Commissioner Champagne. Machines are, any comments from the audience?
Oh, we don't want to go to executive session.
We don't anymore? All right, never mind. That will be deferred, or, yeah. Next item. I'll read it, I got it. Item 3, status report by Executive Director, Mr. Tillison.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So financial report, Kim, can you put that up?
We're working on it. All right.
So let me just go to the next slide. So the
got
only
it.
difference
Don't worry.
between the last two meetings is the $293,000, and that was the change order that we had for the Point LaHash ferry landing. Any questions? All right, next slide. Point LaHash ferry landing, obviously, we had a town hall meeting this week, Tuesday of this week. The emergency repairs are coming to an end. We're anticipating that we will be complete somewhere around the third week of February. What you see in the photo there is the top sections that will be placed on top of those the dolphins. But we anticipate that the dolphins will be painted sometime mid to late this week. And then all of the bridge section, the tops, everything will be brought down from D South. And we anticipate completing that project by the third week of this month. No changes on the new project for the new building of the ferry landings. Update, the Belle Chase 2, the emergency repairs are completed. We should have that vessel back by this weekend. It has to go through a quarterly inspection. With the Coast Guard, we anticipate having it back in operation sometime mid to late next week. The Plaquemines Pride is doing very well in the yard, so we anticipate having that vessel back by May of 2025. And then the Port Authorities 1 and 2, again, everything's going well in those shipyards, and we will have them back sometime late next month. And then we did actually receive the preliminary design for the new Bill Ferry electric, diesel electric boat. So we do have that preliminary design, and I will be passing that over to all of the port commissioners by tomorrow morning. Walker Road update. No real changes. We are still in contact with DOTD in terms of introducing a change to the CEA for the port and the parish to participate with DOTD on that bridge. 11-mile rail extension. We did meet with the Surface Transportation Board last week in Washington, D.C., and in terms of the progress of the Infinity Engineering, they're continuing to work through that project. We anticipate having all of that engineering done by the end of this year. No update on the container port land purchases. And then the water booster station is still making progress. The water booster station itself is almost ready to hand off to the parish. The next step will be for the parish to bring power to the water booster station. Phase 1 of the water line should be completed early in the third quarter, and it looks like now Phase 2 is probably going to be completed sometime in the fourth quarter of this year, and that will include actually connecting the water booster station line to the Port Sulphur water plant. Human Resources, we did have a Port Civil Service meeting today, and we will have an update for that at the next meeting. We have selected the legal assistant. We'll be putting out the information on that by next week. We continue to advertise for the assistant port manager, but we are working on reclassifying that position, and we are receiving resumes now for an IT manager. Again, the rebranding is continuing to make progress. We are going to defer from voting, but we are making progress, and Ms. Vicknair is working diligently with our the Palmer Group to get that done. And that concludes the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Tilson. Any comments from the audience? State your name and address, Mr. Brooks. We know it, but we gotta have it on the record.
Clarence Brooks, 156 East Camelland. I think y'all had told me this already, but y'all know how I am. I'd be asking the same questions a lot. But
Go ahead, it's fine.
I probably wrote it down. Just forgot it. I know the pride is being refurbished. Can you have an idea when it's going to come in back in the parish?
Pride is what, still 4 to 5 months out, probably?
Yeah, I actually mentioned that, so we're looking at May of.
May. Yeah, May.
All right, good.
Bell Chase 2 should be back by this weekend, early next week?
This weekend.
At the
it's gotta
latest,
go
so-
through inspection,
Yeah.
quarterly inspection, Coast Guard should be back in operations by.
And then East Bank, or the Point LaHash Ferry landings, 3rd week of February.
All right. And what boat going to be at the Pranahash Ferry, Pranahash landing in February?
Which boat?
Got an idea?
What's that?
What boat is going to be at the Point LaHash Ferry landing, or do you know that?
We're giving you the Point LaHash back.
Okay. And what we going to have in Bell Chase?
Bell Chase 2.
Oh, Bell Chase too.
You're gonna be
Yes.
out this weekend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those being repaired for rust and all those things, that's why.
Miss-
We'll do one.
So yeah, Bell Chase 2 will be at Bell Chase, but Point LaHash will be at the Point LaHash Ferry
And we're
landing.
working diligently to get the Pride back as soon as.
Correct. And then the Pride will go back to Bell Chase.
And Mr. Brown was at the shipyard this week. They're actually making a lot of progress, and they're moving faster than what's in the schedule.
Another question. Bell Chase 2 and Bell Chase, and that's a real small boat, right?
Yes.
We're going to be able to take care of all that traffic that we having in Bell Chase?
The best it can.
You're not trying to suggest that we take the Bell Chase too. I hope that's not
The
the suggestion saying that.
I
Are you
think that's what he's
suggesting that we
saying.
take the Bell Chase to the little ferry?
In Pranahash?
Yeah, that was.
No, I'm not suggesting.
Okay, then.
I'm just trying to say,
We know it's going to be a struggle,
it's going to be a struggle.
but until we get the Pride back,
Pranahash
we don't really have a choice, unfortunately.
Pranahash is badly making that Bell Chase 2 going to put people, cars on the road for sure.
Yep.
But that's all we got.
Yes, sir.
So we get the other big boats. All right, thank you.
Any other public comment? Ms. Skognovich?
Can you explain why the Louisiana legislature is going to convene on April to consider the New Orleans port to extend its boundaries into Plaquemines, Jefferson, and St. Bernard?
Yeah, we're just seeing that as well. And
We're researching it, trust me. That's what I was talking Keith, Rennie, Danny, and Charles about at the.
we're looking
our
at it. I
meeting.
mean, it seems like an overreach, but,
Because we already seen it into St. Bernard. Now
look, another obstacle, and, I mean, look, we're ready to face it head on. So we're looking at it, and we'll be assessing it, trying to interpret what it actually means. But we don't know at this time.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments? None. See none. 4, business advertisements. There are none. 5, introduction of ordinance and resolutions.
We have 10 under Councilmember Commissioner Schultz. A resolution authorizing Charles D. Tillotson, Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to amend its service agreement with Aluma Marine in regards to enhancing rescue department's fireboats and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing Charles D. Tillotson, Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to amend its service agreement with Louisiana Cat in regarding to overhauling the fireboat's engines and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing Charles D. Tillotson, Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to purchase a FLIR camera for its shared helicopter with Plaquemines Parish Sheriff's Office in order to enhance its security presence in the region and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing Charles D. Tillotson, Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to issue task order number 12 to Lanier and Associates for engineering services related to the detailed design of a new port security dock at PPHTD's existing facility in Belchase, Louisiana, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing Charles D. Tillotson, Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to enter into a professional service agreement for the purposes of engineering and design services with LADOTD and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing and directing the port's executive director, Charles Tillotson, to enter into and execute a cooperative endeavor agreement between the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District and Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development.
Read that twice.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out LADOTD was supposed to be in parentheses. Okay, to coordinate grant funding and project management of Walker Road Bridge Project and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And the ordinance authorizing the executive director of the port, Charles Tillotson, to issue task order number 3 to Kyle Associates for resident inspection services for the Alliance Water Booster Station project and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance authorizing the executive director of the port, Charles Tillotson, to enter into an agreement with T. Baker Smith for surveying services to facilitate rezoning of port properties and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan, motor vessel Pride dry dock project and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And an ordinance to amend the 2025 Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District manpower structure and operating expenditure budget to adjust the funding for the legal assistant position and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Kim. All right, next item, 6, ordinances and resolutions on second reading and final passage. We're going to defer 6B, 6C. Yeah, 6F. All right, that's it. Again, 6B, 6C, and 6F will be deferred. All right, 6. I know, I'm trying to get there, but the mic's messed up.
Yeah, that mic's not working.
6D, an ordinance authorizing Executive Director Charles D. Tillotson of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District to execute a 1-year extension for professional services with Eval IT to secure information technology IT services for the port and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Schultz, I offer, ask for a second. Second by Commissioner Edwards, and we have changes. Can you read the changes? Sorry.
Yes. In section 1, on lines 44 through 47, the following language has been added. And the total cost of the IT services shall be a minimum of $88,668, payable in equal monthly installments of $7,389 at a minimum. Currently, the minimum monthly rate of $7,389, which annually exceeds the executive director's current budgetary authority.
I offer, ask for a second. Second. I know, but I gotta do it since we had changes. Second by Reverend Edwards. Any comments from the public? Administration or staff, council, commission? Machines are open.
Long day, bro.
I know. I had a year doing work on the council as chairman, so I gotta reprogram my brain. Passes 8-0. Next item, please. E, an ordinance authorizing Executive Director Charles D. Tillotson of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District to execute a 1-year extension of professional services with Eval IQ to secure cybersecurity services for the port and otherwise to provide with respect thereto, and we have changes.
Beginning in section 1, line 109 through 111, the following has been added. After the word directors on line 109, and the total of the cybersecurity services shall be a minimum of $82,980 payable in equal monthly installments of $6,915 at a minimum. Currently, the minimum monthly rate of $6,915, which annually exceeds the executive director's current budgetary authority.
I offer ask for a second. Second by Commissioner Champagne. Any comments from the audience? Staff? Commission? Machines are open. Passes 8-0. 6G, a resolution giving preliminary approval to the issuance of not to exceed $42 million of revenue bonds of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, making application to the State Bond Commission for approval of said bonds and otherwise to provide with respect thereto, and this has fill in the blanks.
On line 89, the name of Argent Advisors of Ruston, Louisiana has been inserted.
With that, I offer and ask for a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Edwards.
G.
Any comments from the audience? Did you?
Yeah, again, I'd just like to emphasize, this is a revenue bond for 4 items. That is for the renovations that we plan to do to the Newport Administrative Building, for the water booster station. It's more of a cash flow issue there where we do have a grant from DOTD, but it's probably going to be 3 years before we're reimbursed, so we want to make sure that we cover that. Purchasing land for the container terminal, and then closing out the Sustainability Partners concession agreement and getting that off of our books. So it's those 4 items.
And can you explain that this, to finally issue, it still has to come back before the commission?
It's gotta-
Just go to the State Bond Commission.
This is just to go to the State Bond Commission. Before we approve moving forward, we do have to come back to the commission. And I'd also like to state that we do have representatives here from Foley Udell, and we also have Argent Advisors here with us. And they are available for any questions or comments.
All right, thank you. Any comments from the audience? Staff just made the comments. Mr. Kokrovich.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with redoing the building and the water booster station. I will not pay Sustainability Partners. It wasn't a debt, and we didn't get the money. The person that was sitting in your seat gave it to, that was supposed to do certain things, and it never got done.
Yeah, clearly understand that, Commissioner Koknovich, and today what we're doing is just really approving the full $42 million. In order for us to agree to paying anything to any one of these groups, we have to come back before the Port Commission. So this is just that first formality.
So we're not paying nobody, we're just going out and seeing if we could get the bond.
That's correct.
Correct. You done? Mr. Jursich.
Yes, I'm kind of, with piggybacking on what Mr. Konovich said, I'm looking at this, it's $42 million, but I really don't have an itemized list of what each thing will cost. And I know we're going to chase some more land purchases and stuff like that, but do we have anything happening with this land, this property? And I don't want to get caught up in it, saying, let's just get $42 million. And all of a sudden, we don't have, we don't have the capability of purchasing this, that, and the other. Now we're paying bonds back. We don't have a vendor. We got a few things we don't have in place. Now, so when I say 42 million, I'd like to see it itemized. How much is the building going to cost to renovate? How much is this? And I think you had some of that, but Piano Keys purchases, you don't know where that's going to be. We just zoning the properties and stuff like that. I don't want to be caught with, all right, we used 30 million now we responsible for, but when we don't have a vendor, we don't have no way of recouping that revenue yet. So now we're looking at, we got another 10, 12 million we haven't used, we don't have no use for, or we don't want to throw it away. To just use it to use it. Now we got to pay it back without having the resource to pay it back. But we probably have enough, I don't know if we have enough money in the port's budget to pay it back if needed, and I'm just looking, so we're going after after it. We're not spending it yet. But if we get it, my problem is if we get it and we have to hold on to it and we have no revenue stream to start paying it back, it starts coming back on us, to pay it back. And I've seen what happened with the parish, not moving forward on projects. Now we got bonds we owe, we in debt now. So I just don't want this to get us in debt. That's why I have concerns about it. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it yet, but I do have those concerns about it. I don't want to put us in debt, unnecessarily.
Thank you, Commissioner Jursich, and we do have a detailed list, and we would like to schedule either an in-person meeting or a Teams meeting with our financial advisor, who we're voting on here today, which will be Argent Advisors. And then we also have Foley Udell. We'd like to have that meeting and just go through the details, but one of the things, we're not going to, once we're ready to move forward, the plan is not to draw down 42 million at the beginning. It is to phase that in, but we will only phase that in for what we need when we need it. And we will make sure,
Correct.
and we will make sure we have revenue to back it up, and we'll make sure that we come to each commissioner and give you all of the details and answer all of the questions that you may have.
Yeah, you're still in. And I'll answer some too.
No, I just, if we don't use it all, are we still responsible for paying it back?
No, we're not.
Just paying
Correct.
back off of what we draw.
That's correct.
Correct. So this is part of the condition that I tasked Mr. Tillotson with, is that we will be able to draw it down when needed. Now, there might be restrictions that we only can do, I'm just saying, one draw per year or something like that, but we're not going to draw it all down, because if it's not, we ran into that problem on the parish side where we did the loan and payments came before any work was done. So that was one of the things. And again, this is just, again, as a CPA and everything, I'm very cautious about debt, but this is just for bond approval, and any drawdown will also have to, well, first of all, the final approval will have to come to us, and any drawdown will have to come back to us. And then any appropriation to spend that money would have to come to us because it's not in the budget. So there's at least 3 more checks and balances before we actually spend any of this money. So that was, again, you can ask Mr. Tillotson, I made sure that this was set out very clearly. Is that answer your question? All right, Miss McCarty. No, well, I'm waiting for it. There we go. All right, Miss McCarty.
Well, interestingly enough, I have similar concerns that you do.
Well, you're putting words then.
I understand that we are allocating $7 million for the port building, is that correct? Or was it 5?
5.
Okay, 7.1 total, including the purchase of the building.
That's correct.
Okay. So I'm concerned about spending money that's more than necessary for renovating the building until we have additional income coming in, just to make sure that we don't incur debt. I believe in the port wholeheartedly. I believe that we're going to get this done. But I don't want to spend money before we start making money. So I know that the building has many problems, ventilation, air conditioning, generator. One of the commissioners mentioned to me that it might be better to keep our generator for a while, and because it is not digital and a person can actually work on it instead of having to replace the whole thing. And I also understand that we're not going to spend any of this money until we approve it again. But I just wanted to express my concerns that I might be more in favor of taking baby steps than a big step when this comes around, depending on our financial status at the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McCarty, and your comments are very well taken. And please know that when it comes to the building, first of all, we're not planning on doing the full renovations until next year, right? And then in terms of backing, that we are actually using the revenue from our Venture Global leases as the backing. So the revenue stream is there to back that right now. And I think the last thing, I mean, you mentioned the ventilation in the building, the generator, I mean, there's the roof. I mean, there's just all kinds of problems with that building that we must get in front of as soon as possible because it's been neglected for decades. So we must get in front of that if we expect to have a world-class staff to be able to perform at a very high level. We need to make sure that we have the appropriate facilities. So, but again, we will come back before the commission before we make any of those commitments.
I know that retail space or buildings in the parish are limited. But I had also looked at the brick grant that I just received, and I could have got $10 million to build another EOC building. So I'm just looking at, you know, if we're spending money that we're getting in for this instead of something else like purchasing land, I just want us to take this slowly and be cautious about it.
Thank you.
Reverend Edwards.
Yeah, I am 100% in support of the money we using for the building, because I want to work in the building where ventilations is bad. And because we want to use it for other reasons, that's one part of this thing that I really is 100% support. So I hope we definitely pass that. I yield.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr.
Is that
Cognovich.
champagne in front of you? I think you have the wrong
Yeah.
tag in front of you, but I really appreciate that, and I'd like to really remind the commission that we leased the second floor to Venture Global, and Venture Global spent a lot of money renovating that second floor, and it is a world-class, level in there right now, and it's important that we put the proper ventilation, electrical, roof, generator. And, and then we also, I mean, the EOC is still there, right? And we want to make sure that even when the EOC moves, that that space is going to continue to be a redundant EOC space. So it really, I mean, we need to put some tender love and care into that building. It is a great building. And I'd like to just close with, we ran the analysis. I've sent it to everyone. I'll resend it to everyone again. But all in with the purchase of the building and where we're estimating for the renovations is going to be about $7.2 million. We compared that to South Louisiana. They built a similar building, which is a little smaller, and that building cost $9.4 million. So when you talk about the cost per square foot, I mean, it's a smart real estate move for the port, and I think that this building will be able to support us for the next decade or two before we're ready to grow out of that into something else.
Mr. Cognovich.
Yes. That's why I didn't want to sell the building to you, because they got houses in Belle Chase that's worth more than $1.2 million or $2 million that we sold it to you for. But, the reason I told her, but the reason I told her to keep the old generator, we won't build any new boats right now because the Gen 4 diesels. You need a tank bigger than the diesel tanks to hold the DEF fuel in. That's why you want the older engines, because now you got a fuel tank on top of the building. Now you need a DEF tank on top of the building.
Yeah, your point is very well taken, and we do have our 2 diesel mechanics that have really been working hard on that generator, and we're comfortable with it now. We have it in really good running condition. We do have built into that renovation budget to put a natural gas generator in, but that is something that we can come back and we can talk about. And, if we want to keep the old one, I mean, we can just talk about the pros and cons, and we'll make a decision when that time comes. But that won't be until 2026.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Foley Judell or any of the bond people that's here? Does any commissioners have any questions for them? I think they're good, but I just want to make sure before we vote it, if anybody had
Well,
particular
I mean, why
questions.
don't we just have Mr. Brennan Black?
All right, come introduce yourself, please.
Yeah. Yeah, since they actually drove all the way here, we'd like to have our financial advisor come up as well, Mr. Lucius McGee.
And you got a long ride back, so make sure you keep it short. He didn't hear me. Just introduce your name, self, and
Sure. Brennan Black with Foley and Udell Bond Counsel. Certainly will refer to Mr. Tillotson for any project discussion. Whitney Laird with Stiefel, placement agent, is also here. She has been soliciting some offers from banks, which we're waiting to receive some indications of interest next week. So we certainly have not made any decisions. We're talking to staff about the sort of the draw schedule, what projects are needed. And I think Mr. Tillotson did a good job explaining that it would be drawn down on an as-needed basis. But another sort of protective feature we are trying to include, and that's part of our negotiations with banks, is that you can prepay at any time. So let's say you do end up drawing the full amount, you don't have a use for it, you can pay it back, right, without penalty. So that is something we are working on. We will certainly, once we know more, come back to you all and give you that update.
Good evening, Lucius McGee, Argent Advisors. My role will be helping with that negotiation and hopefully providing some advice on the financial side and the prudence of the borrowing of the funds.
thank y'all. Any questions from,
I just want to thank you. I got the slide presentations. I appreciate it.
You did get it?
Yes.
any other questions or comments? Seeing none, machines are open. Thank y'all. Passes 8-0. Next item, new business. Introduction of resolutions where suspension is being sought. 7A1, a resolution authorizing the executive director of the Port Charles Tilson to enter into agreement with Argent Advisors, Inc. to serve as municipal advisors to the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District. Commissioner Schultz, I offer for suspension. Ask for a second. Second by Commissioner Champagne. Any comment from the audience, staff, commission? Machines are open. For suspension. Passes 8-0. 7A1, a resolution authorizing the executive director of the port, Charles Tilson, to enter into agreement with Argent Advisors, Inc. to serve as municipal advisors to the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District. Commissioner Schultz, I offer. Ask for a second. Second by Commissioner McCarty. Any comments from the audience? Staff, machines are open for vote. Passes 8-0. Next item, 8, approval of the minutes from the January 9th, 2025. Second. Offered by Councilmember LaFrance, second by Commissioner Newsom. Any comments from the audience? Staff, commission, machines are open. Passes 8-0. Do I have a motion? Motion by Councilman, or Commissioner Jurisic, second by Commissioner Newsom. Any comments from the audience? Administration, staff, machines are open. Passes 7-1 with a no vote from Reverend Edwards. We have adjournment at 6:44.